Hey, how are you today? This is Josh Patrick, and you're at Cracking the Cash Flow Code. And today, my guest is Jeremy, and I got to find his last name because I think it's Miller. Yes, it is
Yeah.
Jeremy Miller.
Thanks, Josh.
You would think I would be better at this by now. It's only been 5 years of doing this. And I apologize.
No, not a problem to you at
Jeremy,
all.
a repeat offender. He has an interesting business, which is called Sticky Branding, and that's where you can find them. So instead of me wandering on, let's bring Jeremy on. We can start the conversation. Hey,
Hey,
Jeremy, how are you today?
I'm great. How are you, Josh? Thanks for
I'm
having me
well.
back.
My pleasure. Sorry for screwing up your name.
No
It's
problem.
something I'm really, really bad at. So, so we want to talk about crisis branding, correct?
Yeah, crisis marketing. How do we recover from this moment in time that we're all going through? If you think of it, every person, every company from around the world is going through the exact same thing at the exact same time, and we're going to be dealing with this all through 2020, probably into 2021. So I think now more than ever, we are dealing with a shift in strategy and a shift in value propositions and a shift in being just a business owner and entrepreneur. So it's a I think a very prescient moment in time.
So I keep hearing about pivots that we need to pivot our business to, be able to be relevant in what I call the age of the coronavirus.
Hmm.
And I'm a little curious on how a blue collar business is going to go about pivoting. Do you have any thoughts on that?
I actually hate the word pivoting, especially in this
Oh,
space.
good,
I
good, because I do too.
so I don't think it's about pivoting. I think it's about ripples. Let me give you a
Okay.
very specific example.
Yep.
So we have a client, or a couple clients actually. They're family businesses. One is a distributor of hosing and parts, and another
Yep.
manufactures pumps. And what they both observed at the start of this crisis was that construction workers were walking off job sites because the porta potties were unhygienic. And what you think of it, a porta potty is the last place you want to go any time of the year, but after coronavirus, it's actually dangerous. The CDC has said that human waste carries COVID. And so construction workers, rightly so, were saying, no way. So they were expecting these porta potties to be cleaned 3 to 5 times a day when previously they were cleaned, say, once a week. And just imagine the ripple effect that creates then. So now the construction company is bringing in a service provider to come in multiple times a day. That means they need to hire more people. That needs they need potentially more valves, more hoses, more pipes, more equipment. Then they're going to buy more trucks. And you can just imagine the entire supply chain is having a ripple effect right now where they all are responding to this. A septic company of the U.S. Has seen in the last 3 weeks a 640% increase in calls as companies reopen. And so what does this mean is I don't think it's about pivoting. I think it's about looking to the market of where are these new needs, where are these green shoots of opportunity, and then trying to ride those waves. It's mixing metaphors here, but it's how do you find these new needs that are being established and then being extremely relevant and present. It's not about changing your business because this is a fluid situation. If you're going to be pivoting, you're going to be like a top spinning around constantly over the next 2 years.
Yeah, that makes sense. So what you're saying is that finding new ways of serving the markets that you have, or understanding where the demand might be coming from, is something that's really, really important.
Exactly. One of the things that I like to ask at Sticky Branding is who needs your services or expertise the most right now? When you look around, you can see all these new needs are emerging. People are reopening their businesses. People are dealing with the crisis in many different ways. So the first place to look is with your existing customers and your existing products. How do you adapt your messaging, your value proposition, or even your products to serve what people need right now? Retailers, for example, are offering curbside pickup. It's the same customer, it's the same product. They're just adjusting it slightly. Then the growth opportunities start to be how you look to what I describe as the corners. So how can you offer your same products to new markets, or how can you offer new products and services to your existing markets? And that's just about being helpful. Like, how do you look at what's going on right now and say who needs our expertise the most right now, and then adapting to serve that?
So you're in the marketing world, which
Mhm.
means you're in the world of helping your customers get found.
Yeah.
And if I have a retail store, and I'm just using retail stores for example,
Mhm.
and I've always depended on people walking in my store, how would I go about pivoting or not pivoting, but rippling over to curbside pickup?
Well, the thing that is so interesting at this moment, Josh, is that the world wants you to succeed. Your customers want you to succeed. So rather than trying to fight it, ask the community for help and service. One example is an ice cream manufacturer called Central Smith. Their retail store was closed. So what they did, two young employees, Jillian and Megan, they put up a Shopify store in the span of a week, and they put up all their overstocked ice cream. And then they went to the local chamber of commerce and two food bloggers and said, "We're offering curbside pickup. Could you let the community know what's going on?" And what was so shocking is that their first week of sales that in during curbside pickup exceeded last summer's peak month.
Wow.
And that was just the community supporting them. And they had people, this is the crazy part. So they were selling overstock supply that they would sell to the restaurant trade, 11.5 liter big tubs of ice cream. And people would
Sure.
be literally driving up and they'd be putting 2 tubs into their trunk and they'd be driving off. And they're like, where is that ice cream going?
I think people are gaining a stupid amount of weight during this whole thing.
I think the Central says that the 19 in COVID is going to mean something very different at the end of this thing, like the freshman 15.
Right.
So, from a
I think
marketing perspective, maybe we could do a partnership between Central Smith and Peloton. You can work out and eat at the same time.
doesn't help much. Um, but the interesting thing there, and I'm wondering, many business owners are in their 50s and even 60s,
Yeah.
and what you described, they don't even have a clue how to start getting that stuff done.
But that's what your employees are for.
Well, this is the thing I'm going to say. Some of your employees know, most of your employees don't. I mean, I've
Yeah.
had a bunch of millennials working for me over the years,
Mm.
and they're not especially clued in when it comes to how to do online marketing. Yeah, they
Yeah.
know how to use Facebook and Instagram and Quack or whatever, other site they want to get themselves involved with,
Yeah.
but they're not really good at saying, how do I get the word out? Or how, like I'm rebuilding our website right now. It's one of
Mm.
my coronavirus activities. And frankly, I have a millennial who should know all about this stuff. She knows nothing about it. She's a wonderful assistant. She's great at doing our financial stuff.
Yeah.
But when it comes to online marketing, she's not especially useful.
You're,
So,
you're raising a good point, though, which is online marketing or marketing in general is a craft. It's no different than accounting. It is a trained, learned skill. And so people are not necessarily, because of their age, going to know anything about Facebook or Facebook marketing. But that's also like saying, because you're 35, you should be good at sales. Like it's like that's not the correlation. These are developed, learned skills. But what I do think that all people inside your organization have, especially right now, is an ability to contribute ideas. That doesn't mean they can execute on them, but they can help get there. So, in the case of the Central Smith example, they have Brett Stevenson, who's their COO, says they have transitioned from an and/or culture to an and culture. People are saying, this isn't my, they used to say, this is my job or that. I wouldn't do that. Now it's, this is my job and what else do you need me to do? And so with the Shopify example, they just saw an opportunity and they went for it. But they've also hit other things along the way where they need to hire outside marketing services, operation services, whoever it is. Eventually you're going to need support to get through this. And so the question is, what is the need that you're trying to solve? And then how do you go about solving it? And it may be inside your organization, it may be external, but this is the entrepreneurial opportunity we all have, is how do we move forward to serve our customers? Because if you do that, you're going to generate sales, which will generate cash, which will give you that lifeblood you need to exist through all of this.
yeah, I mean, without cash, you're not going to make it through.
No.
Um, So okay, that's interesting. So what else would you recommend people be doing right now?
I think the other one I look at very carefully in this world, especially from a business to business context, is most marketing is basically not working. One of the things that's happened is middle management, the people who used to make decisions, whether it was procurement or managers, other people that you could sell to before, have lost their autonomy in terms of decision making. And the sales and marketing processes very much look like 2005 or before, the pre-social media era, where you actually had to pick up the phone and call people or email and do direct solicitation. And so what that means today in our marketing is we have to be hyper relevant and very clear that we are selling to executive decision makers, because the only person that's going to write a check is someone who believes that there is value to the company, especially when they've cut all their budgets.
So you're starting to move into the world of sales away from the world of marketing a little bit,
Mhm.
which is, always interesting. And it seems to me is what you're talking about is what I call the complex sale, which means there's more than one decision maker involved.
Correct. Well, is there more than one decision? The business owner is the decision maker right now, at least in B2B. Like you need to sell high. So from a marketing context, this is about getting your value proposition and your messaging and your service offering crystal clear for what it's like to be marketing in a post-COVID world. But the other side of it is spending a bunch of money on Facebook ads that the business owner is never going to see. Why? Like you have to recognize that who your customer is and how you're going to get to them.
Okay, so if my customer is a business owner,
Mhm.
and that is my customer,
Mhm.
how do I get them to talk to me?
What we're finding is so there's fascinating trends happening right now. For example, what we have seen both at Sticky Branding and validated through several sales consulting training firms that we partner with is that executive access has increased by 40%. Business owners are actually answering the phone. So the phone is one of the greatest tools that we have, like ever, going back a generation, it feels like now. But you can actually use direct solicitation and calling to gain access to people, and many of them are answering the phone and talking because they're open and looking for ideas. And so if you can, whether it's a cold call, but even better, having a referral introduction and a relevant message is the fastest route to get there. You don't need gatekeepers or anyone else. Chances are the gatekeepers aren't in the office anymore. The only person in the office is the business owner and maybe a skeleton crew of people.
So when you're saying they're looking for new ideas, what you mean is you need to be disturbing them in saying there's a different way of solving whatever issue that is that they have.
Correct. One of the things I like to coach people on is lead with a hypothesis. And so, what is it that you may think they need? And ask them that question right out of the gate. For example, Last Minute Training has lost 95% of their business due to this. They're an event company, but they are transitioning their clients to virtual conferences. And so they will talk to an event planner or to the business owner or an executive director in association and ask them, do you have a conference that you want to move online? And then the second question is, do you have in-house resources to do that? And that 1-2 question validates whether there's worth having a conversation with them on it.
Interesting. So are they getting conversations about that?
Absolutely, because think of it, every association, at least 50 to 60% of their revenue is based on their annual conference. All of that revenue went poof. So now how do you replace that? Also, you're seeing companies such as software companies that would have annual user conferences, which are key to their marketing. So what the key is that the demand is there, but the market doesn't know how to respond. They don't know how to Google and find these services and vendors yet. It's too new. This is the issue that we have with COVID, is that we don't have established markets in many ways. So the direct solicitation is very effective because you can ask the question, do you have this need or this situation? If yes, I have an answer. If no, cool. Do you know anyone else?
Cool. So with that particular example, because I happen to be on a board right now that's thinking about a virtual conference.
Mhm.
What's the question they're asking the business owner to figure out if they can help them or the association executive?
The
And
key
I actually have an answer to this, but I'm just curious what yours is.
Well, I think one of the questions that the association has to wrestle with is is it relevant and how is it serving the needs of its members right now? They're going through the exact same thing. But from last minute's perspective, the defining factor is, are you looking to put on a few Zoom sessions? If so, you can do that yourself. Or are you looking to have a main stage production experience that people would pay for? And if you are trying to do what is basically live television or a combination of pre-recorded and streamed TV on a live show with, say, some breakout sessions like you would in a conference, chances are you're not producing that in-house. So how do you execute that? How do you monetize that? How do you organize that? All become the conversations that they have with their clients.
So a question I would be asking them if it was me would be, what is the gross profit that you got? I mean, what was the net profit you used to get from your live events?
Mm.
And then I would say, do you have any idea how to match that now?
Brilliant question.
Well, actually, the reason I'm saying that is I happen to be involved in the group right now, and we're going from live to virtual.
Yeah.
And the big question is, it's again, 50% of the revenue comes from this event.
Yeah.
And the question is, what are we trying to replace for revenue, and how can we best go about doing that?
Mm-hmm.
And it's a question I'm not seeing many of these online folks asking themselves.
No, and I think you're very right. What's interesting is the virtual work has definitely reduced the cost. So you can, because you don't have food, you don't have hotel, you don't have travel, any of that kind of stuff.
Right.
But the complexity, but you're also not able to sell the same ticket price. You also don't have the same sponsorship opportunities. So the revenue model and the business model for associations and event companies is different. And part of this for a board to recognize and be dealing with is, if this revenue stream is no longer as profitable or as viable, what else can it do? And this has been an ongoing issue for associations for the last 15 years, that they have been losing relevance as a market because millennials aren't paying for membership. They are joining free communities like Facebook groups. So what is that place and that position in the market? And I think the best thing that COVID has done is it's forced transformation. Whether we're talking about corporate transformation or association transformation, we are all dealing with our new reality because we're being forced to deal with it since we've been locked down and prevented to do traditional business. But we've also been given a gift that we have access to funding, we have a shared experience and support that you can actually be a very vibrant and engaged entrepreneur. And I really do believe that the companies who act first and adapt fastest have the advantage right now. They're the ones that are going to lead us out of this, and also likely the ones that are going to set the new expectations of what customers will have. Whether you're a blue collar business or not, this is really that golden opportunity. What will your business look like in 2021 or 2022? The steps and actions you take today are going to totally transform what your business could become.
So here's my last question, I think, for us, because I think this will take us to the end of our time we have together, because it's not a short answer, I don't think.
Okay.
Here's a challenge. I own a business, whether blue collar or professional service, whatever business it is. I'm in an area where my sales have shrunk by 20 or 30% if I'm lucky, more if I'm unlucky. And I need to hire a marketing professional. And there's two problems with hiring a marketing professional. One, they want to get paid. And two, I have no idea whether they're competent or not. So how do I find out whether my marketing professional is competent? And if I have no cash, I really can't write a check, how do I get a marketing professional interested in working with me?
Well, let's deal with the second question first.
Okay.
The cash question is, if you're down 20 to 30% and you need to rebuild, you're going to have to make investments. And we can see in every state, and I'm in Canada, the province, there is there are funding programs available that you may be able to tap into to save your cash. But if I think of this as a spectrum of issues. We have some companies that are leading and some are bleeding. In the middle, there are a few that are stable and some that are slipping. So if you're in that 20 to 30 or even 40%, you're in that middle ground. And so you're going to have to dig deep and prioritize where you need to move forward. And if you can't afford a marketing person, then where do you need to spend your money? Because you need marketing, you need sales, maybe you need a salesperson, but the challenge of justifying this really boils down to your strategy. What is your path forward and what resources do you absolutely need? I think the biggest mistake that people make in marketing or in any hiring is they think if I put this body in, this marketing person, this finance person, this salesperson, they will solve the problem. Doesn't ever work that way. As an organization, as a leadership team, or as an owner, you have to empower people to be successful, which means putting in infrastructure and systems that come around that marketing person. And if you're at ground zero, maybe that first hire is to build the starting infrastructure, but that's a clearly defined project and you can hire according to that and budget according to that. So
let me ask you in kind of a different way around the economics of it.
Yeah.
When I've hired marketing people, they tell me it's going to be 90 to 120 days before I see anything. And I have spent thousands and thousands and thousands of dollars on marketing people. Yeah. And at the end of that 90 days, I have gotten nothing.
Right.
Now, in today's world, I don't have time to wait 90 days to see if something works.
Right.
How do I know fast whether I hire somebody good or not?
I think that you have to set the actions it's going to come down for effort, indicators, results. So do they have the right behaviors going out first? That's what we need to watch. And then what are your early indicators? Within 60 days, you should be seeing early metrics, provided you've set them, to move forward. But let me answer this in a bit of a roundabout. Let me talk what I am seeing specifically in the marketing work that I'm doing with clients right now. Within 4 weeks, I believe you can validate, develop a market, and get a sale in a blue collar business today in this marketplace. And so in what I do in crisis marketing is the first thing we want to identify is what are the potential green shoots of opportunity, whether within your existing customer base or just outside of that. And build an offer and get out and market, message it, and sell it as quickly as possible. The first thing to recognize before you start marketing is it has to sell. So if you need to pick up the phone and make 10 cold calls and speak to 10 business owners and pitch, if it doesn't sell on that process or it doesn't resonate, all the marketing dollars in the world you spend to it aren't going to matter. So the way I think of this is a sales sprint or a marketing sprint. Identify a need, build your pitch, and then go out and sell it directly for the first 10 to 20 customers. If you validate that this need is there, then the next question is, how do you amplify your marketing to get to more of these people beyond what you can do one-to-one, cold call, email, etc.? And marketing should simply build off of sales in a small and mid-sized company. It doesn't go the other way around. That what you're really trying to do is take whatever that you're selling and then amplify it so that you're getting to the right person at the right time with the right message. But if it doesn't sell at the beginning, everything else doesn't matter.
Cool. Hey, Jeremy, that is great advice. And unfortunately, we are out of time. You've written a couple of books. You want to tell us how we can find them and how we can find you?
Sure. I've written 2 books. The first one is Sticky Branding, and the second one is Brand New Name. And both are available on Amazon or where books are sold. The best way to find me, though, is just Google Sticky Branding. The website stickybranding.com, and I'm on all the social networks at Sticky Branding.
Cool. And I have an offer for you, too.
Okay.
One of the things I think is really important is that you want to become financially free from your business at some point. Which means that you can afford to leave your business and retire. It doesn't mean you're going to retire. It just means you can afford to do so. And I put together this little program called the Financial Freedom Project. And if you'd like to get our free ebook on what the Financial Freedom Project is and how it could affect you, go to www.sustainablebusiness.co/freedom. That's www.sustainablebusiness.co/freedom, and get the ebook and let me know what you think. Hey, this is Josh Patrick. We're with Jeremy Miller. You're at Cracking the Cashflow Code. Thanks a lot for stopping by. I hope to see you back here really soon.